Okay, this is a bit of a new experiment, but I thought this might be fun. I'm sure there's some crossover between people enjoy boots and people enjoy Filson. I've got these vintage Filson catalogs, and I figured I would just go through them. Looking at high quality made goods from the past. This is 2013, not that long ago, 12 years ago. But a lot has changed in Filson. The current brand is very, very different than it was back then. So I figured we'd take a look at this catalog and, see what's changed, what's the same. Okay, here goes. So Filson, this is their September, so early fall, late summer issue for 2013. I imagine it's a lot of, a lot of wool. Okay, wow. Yeah, Filson doesn't make any of this anymore. They've made a smart sportsman bag recently in the past few years, but they don't currently make it, and now it's of course made in Vietnam. Whereas then this was $360 and made in the USA. This new mesh game tote, I've never even seen one of these, but very unique. Clearly didn't really take off, but I really like that kind of game style. Kind of a field jacket style bucket pocket on the side would let you carry a lot. And then you've got that hunting vest, which is so nice. Okay, they make a version of that, but it's different. I'll tell you why. Sort of a version of that. And again, all of this was made in the USA, and now it's sadly all imported. This is their soy wax short cruiser jacket. The soy wax didn't really age well, didn't look great, didn't really take off. But I'm sure for a bit this jacket would have been nice. You have a moleskin lining, and the red hang loop means that it was Seattle fit, so slightly slimmer. This the guide work jacket. What a beautiful silhouette! I love this design. Again, I don't like the soy wax twill. It was not a hit. I much prefer their tin cloth or shelter cloth or covered cloth. Short line cruiser jacket. This is so nice. They do still make their tin cruiser vests. They're not quite cruiser vests. They have buttons here instead of the snaps, and the pocket layout is different. They don't have the 4 cruiser pocket, but this is so nice. I do wish they brought this back. They actually do make this now in their bear tooth material, which is just like a thick, almost like a boiled cotton, kind of a very thick moleskin. And it is very nice. They have the enamel snaps, but of course it's imported and more expensive. Oh man, yeah, they just had so much fun in this era. Seattle Cruiser, again, this, I've seen versions of this. They didn't age beautifully, but they are nice. It's a thinner waxed cotton. I don't know if this is soy wax or not. Made in USA, 6 ounce, 100% oil finished cotton. Yeah, but they were just having fun with their cruisers. Waterproof Seattle Cruiser, quick drying, functional, lightweight for maximum rain. So 4 layer shell, 4 front utility pockets. So 5. Oh wow, this is almost like a poly nylon blend. For $485. That's a lot of money for a polyester nylon jacket. So even then, 12 years ago, of course, Filson was always pretty expensive, but I do think they gave you more for their money. This was their boiled wool, or bonded wool, they call it. Virtually indestructible. Yeah, 3 slot pocket, just basically your classic cruiser design. These were cotton lined, which made them really nice. Very robust feel to these. Very, very almost like coarse to the touch. But this is the same thickness as their Mackinaw wool, but just a different feel to it. Okay, this their legendary Packer coat. They did make this up until just a few years ago. They don't make it anymore, but these things fit super large. They could take a liner, which they have it pictured with a wool liner, Mackinaw wool liner. But yeah, tin cloth. These things were just built, super duper well. $360. I mean, right now the closest thing they have is their field coat, which is of course made in Vietnam and like $500. Anyway. Classic tin cruiser. They still make this. Of course, now it's made in Bangladesh or somewhere. This was made in the USA, and my God, $260. Wow. This is so nice. These you rarely ever see, but the line Seattle Cruiser. So it's a dry tin cloth. It says tough tin cloth. Huh. I think these were unwaxed, 100%. Oh yeah, dry finish tin cloth. So, I don't know why they call it tin cloth. What does tin cloth even mean if it doesn't mean waxed cotton? But yeah, it's just their weave. It's an 11-ounce dry finish tin cloth, and then you had the essentially a what do you call it? Alaskan guide flannel lining. Very, very nice cruiser jacket. Again, this is their Scout work jacket. So nice. I love their guide work jackets or Scout. And here they have their short cruiser jacket. This is an unlined version. Those are really, really nice. This is their tin jacket. In recent years, they've switched over to their tin cloth work jacket. Again, more expensive and made overseas now. But of course, inflation, that's a factor, but I think it's more than just inflation with the brand. It's corporate bloat. They spend too much in their marketing and their stores and etc. Wow, their duster, pretty cool, pretty crazy. Very nice. Their Westlake was always very, very cool. A different pocket layout, almost a little bit more European inspired, a little bit more of like something you get from Barber or Belfast, or no, Belstaff, not Belfast. Shelter cloth, fights rain. Yeah, so it's slightly thinner than their tin cloth. It's 8.5-ounce wax cotton, but really, really nice. I've seen these in person, and they're robust. They're nothing to sneeze at. Yeah, there's their guide work jacket in that kind of tartan lining. Again, tartan wax cotton. Again, a little bit more, European inspired. All season raincoat. Those are always, they just fit gigantic. Way too large, but otherwise very, very nice. Filson in general runs large, but that was super large. Our weekender coat, which ended up becoming the mile marker, which ended up becoming something else, and now it's, I don't know. There's not much consistent right now with the Filson jacket lineup, except for the cruisers, really. Yeah, this was their Greenwood wool jacket. Essentially, it's a collarless Mackinac wool cruiser. I don't know who asked for it. It was also okay. So moleskin lining and having Yukon wool. Their Yukon wool was almost like a whipcord or a forestry wool. So just a very, very robust. Oh no, it says 24-ounce, 100% virgin Yukon wool. I don't know. I don't even know what the Yukon wool meant really, because their Mackinac wool is 24-ounce. Yeah, if you know, let me know. I've seen these in person. Yeah, that just feels like Mackinac wool. I don't know why they called it Yukon. Maybe they were getting it from somewhere else other than Pendleton, and now it all comes from like Mexico or whatever. Their new Mackinac wools, not to my liking. Okay, new guide work jacket. This is so nice. Very, very nice. In a Harris tweed. Again, very classic European shepherd. Very, very nice. Their guide work jacket. That's also their bonded wool. Again, I've felt these very nice, very rough to the touch. And that's why they are lined, but extremely rough. These ended up becoming almost like a sleeper hit later on. Their Scout work jacket in this Yukon wool, what do you call it? Hawthorne plaid. Very, very nice. There's the weekender jacket in wool. Not my favorite. But simple, utilitarian, useful, very nice jacket. And here's their classic original Mackinac cruiser, oh my God, they were $340. And then the extra long was $364. Now they are $600. And they are still made in the USA, which is great, but they're using Mexican wool. And it's just not to my liking at all. It's the same 24-ounce wool, but it feels different. It's less robust. It's very soft and feels like it pills easily. Like the Pendleton wool, I would have no problem walking in the forest, brushing up against branches. I'd feel like it's fine. With the newer Mackinac wool, like I just wouldn't. It feels like it wouldn't be able to take it. Lion Seattle Cruiser, very, very interesting. The kind of charcoal navy thing going on with the Alaskan guide lining. Very, 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 very nice. Okay, I love this is really the original cruiser design. People forget, but the cruiser patent was for this design. Very nice. They did a really cool version of this. I think it was for the 100th anniversary of this patent, but they made it in Mackinac wool without the hood, and that was just super, super nice. But yeah, this stuff is fine. Scout work jacket, short cruiser. messing with different materials, trying different things. This is their classic jack shirt. Now they have, this became known as the Seattle wool jack shirt. It's an 18 ounce wool. Used to be from Pendleton, used to be really high quality. Now, still high quality, but now it's made overseas. The price it's still more expensive, but it's made overseas instead of in the USA. Up until a few years ago, they did have a USA made version as well that was like $400, and then the imported version was like $200. Not sure what'll happen. Antique tin cloth jack shirt, very very nice. Your classic, canvas work shirt, lined work shirt, very nice. Western wool work vest. I heard that you're starting to see imported Mackinaw wool work vests in Europe, in the European market, which is so messed up and sad. Always loved this guide vest, very nice. This, I don't know if they're still making it at this exact moment, but they are, these are still in production, at least until a year ago or so. You could still get those. Hunting vests have always been super nice. These fit very, very wide on the bottom to accommodate lots of hunting gear. There's your Hawthorne wool plaid, I think. Is it? I can't tell. But very nice nonetheless. There it is, Filson cruising shirt, patented from, I thought it was patented in 1914, maybe 1912. Does it say? Doesn't say. There you go, cruiser shirt. These were made in Portugal. Very, very nice, very cool. But $200 for a shirt with some pockets. Not for me, but maybe for you. Filson classic quality shirts. Their flannels are nice. They're extremely overpriced. You could find much better deals anywhere else, literally, but still very nice. If you love the pattern, you love the feel, you'll get your money's worth. Pants. These are always very fun. I like these bucket pockets, very useful. Their lineup of pants is dwindling, but still cool. Tin cloth pants are great. I have a pair of the tin cloth bibs. Wear those a lot. They get very dirty very quickly, and that's how they stay forever. But that's fine. That's what they're for. Robust, wonderful. That's fun with reflective tape. That's hilarious. Never seen one of those in the wild, I'll tell you that. Really fun apron. I've had this in the past. A bit too much for what I need, but very cool. I love their Upland boots. I have a pair of their Upland boots from a later model that was made in Portugal, but still very nice, very high quality. Their bags, not much has changed to their credit. Now they put the stupid tag outside, which is just so cheesy and embarrassing, but that's fine. They don't make they called it the padded laptop bag. Then it became called the computer bag or computer briefcase. They don't make that anymore, but here's their original briefcase. $257, sleeper hit, kind of in a way my favorite bag from Filson. Messenger bag. This kind of became, or started just this got eliminated, and then the medium and small field bag. These are very nice. The game messenger bags, pretty useful. Travel kits. They have different versions of the travel kit now. Again, there's your mesh game tote again. Sportsman bag. These go for so much. These are, if you go on eBay, there's like $1,000. Any of these bags are kind of useful, like super useful, that they don't make anymore, are just extremely expensive. Utility tote, or utility bag. Yeah, very nice, very fun, but their sportsman bag's an incredible bag. Oh man, the large carry-on travel bag. This was like a version of the Outfitter, kind of a more slimmed down version of the Outfitter bag. Very, very nice, very useful. What did it? $360, my God. Now, if you see one for $550 on the used market, you're very lucky. Lots of totes. They were having fun with the colors. Got to give them that. They were killing it. These carry-all totes were, not for me, but pretty useful for the right person. If you're using certain kinds of tools. These are my favorite. The tote briefcases, kind of difficult to use, but they looked so cool and very useful. So if because these snap off. But then you could tighten them with this. But you wouldn't use these a lot, so it's just 3 different snaps. And open tote. But these are so, so nice. There's their Journeyman new backpack, they called it. Back hugging design for exceptional comfort. Yeah, this became their Journeyman. $348. I mean, they're not that much more expensive, but they are imported now. But I believe they're $400 now, with certain colorways being a little bit more expensive. Wow, their leather briefcase. You could actually still find these in the used market for around this price, 890. But yeah, bridal leather, very, very high quality. Suit covers and all this stuff, again, they don't make any of this except the travel kit. Nothing on this page. Well, I guess they make the large duffel still. Man, the large duffel is 510. What is it, $700 now? That's not that crazy. Still made in the USA. Buy it once and you have it for life. iPhone case, that's so crazy. They're really having fun. You could buy the flask for $150 on the used market these days. All their different wallets. This isn't my favorite era of their wallets. I actually think the wallets they are making now are a lot nicer quality. But still very expensive. Go on Etsy. Man, so these are really special. 1922 sleeve vest, limited edition. They'd come in this beautiful wooden box. Even at the time, $500, of course, for this is a lot, but it's super limited edition. I do wish I owned one of these. They only made it from size small to 2XL. Such a nice silhouette. If you ever wearing a vest and you're like, man, I wish I had sleeves now. Well, this is it. There you go. Man, there you go. Filson, 2013. A lot has changed. Nothing has changed at all. Hope you enjoyed.